Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a disassembly for you of this little guy right here. This is the CRKT Butte. What a beautiful knife we got here, and it's going to be weird to take apart because we got a couple of things going on. Number one, deadbolt lock. This little guy right here is what locks the knife open and closed. That's going to be fun. Number two, assist. So I got to figure out how a deadbolt lock assist works. I got to deal with the fact that the knife is assisted. I got to take everything apart, get it back together in roughly working order. This is potentially going to be an odyssey. Centering right here is slightly favoring clip side, but not by a large margin. Action is fine. It's a little tricky, a little sticky, frankly, to disengage the lock. And so that's not necessarily amazing, but aside from that, everything seems to be doing okay, so let's go ahead and start taking this guy apart. Now, all right, let's go ahead and start off with the, get my disassembly tools over here. Let's go ahead and start off with a T8 here in the pivot. I'm going to see if I can't just remove this outright. Yeah, okay, good. That's popping out, and here is a spring attached to it. This is the deadbolt lock spring. Look at the little tiny amount of threading engaging on the end there. It's kind of wild. All right. That allows the deadbolt lock to drop free and reveals the pivot on the other side, because this actually needs to be removed. That did not disengage the detent. That is the assist. So right now we actually have an assisted slip joint, which is kind of fun. All right, so that's fun. But we do not need to remove, we do need to remove the pivot there to be able to get this guy the rest of the way apart. We're also going to need to remove at least one of the scales. And potentially both. Reason I say maybe both is because we do need to get at this little flathead area inside. In order to take the knife apart, I need to get in there and I need to turn that like a flathead screw, or potentially like a spanner screw, to unscrew the pivot from this side. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to be optimistic here. I'm going to try and take it apart by removing these 3 screws right here. Put that there, right here. Put that there. And right here, put that there. This reveals the assist mechanism, which is going to be important, so I did need to remove this side at the very least. So that puts that there, and then my last screw lives here, and then this separate piece can go off of here. So now the knife is completely unassisted, which is good. Now I need to be able to remove this scale, so in order to do so, I do need to remove this screw in the back here, which I will set off to the side, and this screw in the other back, and there we go. It is worth noting that the assist there is interesting in that it actually has 2 ends to it. It is not a classical speed-safe style assist. I forget exactly which way this goes. I think like so. In that it is not like a captive inside the scale, so that is why the knife didn't go flying apart. There. Okay, so that needs to go there. And that goes there. Okay. Now, in order to get this scale off, I do need to remove the pivot, and the pivot is screwed into the other side. My hope, my dream, my fondest desire here is that I'm going to be able to get in there with a large flathead bit, like so. So I'll bust this out here. And I will be able to rotate this guy without removing the other side. And it looks like I might be able to. Although I think the blade of this flathead bit here might be a little too wide. Indeed it is. This is a thinner groove than a conventional flathead. Okay, and it's also thinner than a conventional spanner bit. How am I going to pull this off? One option might be to use a smaller flathead. Let's try this guy. That's not going to work. Okay. Let's try a smaller one still. That will work. Okay, so what I needed is a smaller sized flathead bit than the one that I had ready on my table. But luckily, I've got another set from iFixit over here that has a separate set of smaller flatheads. And now I just get in there and I rotate that. And that unlocks the scale on the other side. And everything is taken apart now. And I do not need to come in through the back. I don't have to remove the clip. I don't have to remove these screws. That's kind of nice. I can pop the pivot out, and we're good to go. All right, so now with all that said, let's get this guy cleaned up a little bit, and then we can put it back together. This is very complex, is my sort of initial impression of it, right? Deadbolt lock seems fine, right? It seems good to go for everyday carry, but it is very, very complex. And if anything, my complaint with it is just that it's a problem or a solution in search of a problem. It adds a fair amount of complexity, and, you know, locks are already done, but at the same time, it is diversity of lock, so I can't get too bent out of shape about it. Right, no super harm done there. But anyways, the deadbolt lock is, it is definitely a complicated beast. And then assisting the deadbolt lock is... I still don't quite understand CRKT's recent obsession with assists. That felt like something that we as a community were about ready to leave behind, and then they come roaring back with it. But, you know... it must sell well to the, oh, it's like a switchblade crowd. And you know what? Hey, whatever. The question becomes, well, can the knife be run de-assisted? And in this particular case, I don't think so. There doesn't appear to be any kind of a, can I check this? Actually, hold on. The deadbolt lock, no, because the deadbolt lock does not lock when the knife is open. You know, I could check this. Feels like it might be my duty to my subscribers and whatnot to do so. All right, well, let's get things cleaned up, and then I can finish the section here and take it from there. This is a very beefy little part here. This is the pivot that I removed with the spanner screw there, well, with the flathead there. So that's certainly a thing. I'll clean up the deadbolt lock here a little bit. And... there we go. All right, we should be all set. So how can I test to see if the deadbolt lock works unassisted? Is there a way for me to do that? Well, no matter what I end up doing, step one is going to be putting the thing at least part of the way back together. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reinsert my pivot here, and I'm going to put a little bit of a blue thread locker on this guy. Loctite on a stick. If you're curious about this or any of the other tools I'm using during my disassemblies, Shabazz.com/tools has all your details. But, so we'll go ahead and put that there. Then I'll go ahead and I'm going to take some 10-weight, or I'm sorry, this is the knife pivot lube. They call it 15-weight, which I like very slightly more in higher friction circumstances, more specifically when you want something it's kind of a little closer to washer reaction. And given that we've got something with the deadbolt lock, I figure I'm going to be using KPL anyways, so I might as well do that. So I've got that bearing in place. Now I want to drop the pivot on here and put that there. This is wanting to slip back through, which is not ideal, but hey. So let's put that there and rotate, rotate, rotate. Okay. Now what I need to do is I need to screw the pivot into the other side of the liner. Loctite is in position. This needs to go. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put in these back screws here to help the alignment here. There's no, at this point in time, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to worry about the assist or the top scale yet. So I can go this far very easily. All of this is going to stay the same, assisted or not. Let's go ahead and put this through here. Okay. Now what I can do is come into the back. Ow. Oh, come off of it. Hey, no cut. That's nice. But my blades, the pivot dropped out of there. So now I need to go check that everything is in alignment. Hey, it still is, miraculously. Now I just come in here, and what you're seeing me doing here is twist and twist and twist, and that was very dangerous, having the blade flopping around in the breeze like that. But twist everything until we are roughly good to go. Okay, so now, here's the question. If I put this scale back on, and I'm just going to do a half-ass job of this, because I don't need to use the whole ass for the moment. That's a really weird sentence, but hey, whatever. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this little guy right here. And I'm not thread locking anything right now, just because my goal here is to see whether there is any kind of a detent coming from the deadlock itself. I do not believe there to be. So I think this is going to be a fruitless effort. But the goal here is to see whether this knife is carryable without the assist, or whether the assist itself provides the detent keeping the knife. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the assist itself is what's providing the force keeping the knife closed. And so this guy becomes, when carried tip up, which it is, very dangerous. Without the assist, I would not in any way, shape, or form recommend carrying this knife without the assist bar installed. That would be a very dumb idea. Okay, what that tells us is exactly that. This is a knife that must be run assisted because they did not include a conventional detent. That is a shame. I think the very best thing an assist can be is removable. But I also acknowledge, I suppose, that there are people for whom that's a pro. That's a combination of a pro and a plus, by the way. It's definitely going to be a pro for some. So, you know, I guess we should keep that in mind. All right, we want to place this in here. No, yeah, that's correct. Okay. Yeah, because this then slips out here and goes deeper. This, by the way, also demonstrates how the how this lock works. Right, this little piece always sits right in here, this little bar here, which, as you recall, is shaped as such with a protuberance coming out of it. Then when you go ahead and you close the knife, there's a little spring exerting upwards force on this. When you open the knife fully, that allows this thing to push out further. That blocks the blade from closing until this is pushed back down and out this way. And there we go. So, as a result, though, that is how this locking mechanism works. I am going to go on ahead and I am going to lubricate this piece right here. I'm not 100% sure what the contact surfaces are. Looks like there's some wear right there. But I'm just going to go on ahead and fully lubricate this. This might be a thing that is better served by a thicker grease, but I want to try this at the very least, just because... Yeah, so now that gives me the opportunity to push this back into place. Now, with this installed, I can torque these guys and make sure that they're fully good to go. They are. Okay, good. Now what I can do is I can install the assist bar. The assist on this knife is going to be at its strongest. There goes that bar. Let's go ahead and slip that back into position here. The assist on the knife is going to be at its strongest when the knife is fully closed. And so the assist bar goes into here. Do I have this backwards? I feel like I have this backwards. The reason I say that I have this backwards is because this is longer and goes into the... Yeah, okay, good. So now when I close the knife, yeah, this bar here starts to tension. It's building tension, and I'm holding it down with my fingers just so it doesn't come out. And you can see here, now the bar is actually bowed out pretty substantially. There's a fair amount of tension built into there. And then when I release it, that tension releases. At the very least, it's a very easy to reassemble sort of assist. That's a nice thing. So on the table, it's under no particular strain here. But once I put everything on, everything should be good to go. We see that this lands here. I will go ahead and put a little bit of lubrication right on the inside of this right here. Okay, now my next step is going to be to put everything back together. I'll start with the back screw there. And let's go ahead and find its home. I'm just putting it in there. The tension of the pivot is already set, practically speaking, by the internal pivot mechanism. It's really hard to figure out exactly what to call these damn things. I think this screw goes here. And then my last step is actually going to be to insert the pivot per se. Well, that's not a pivot anymore. The button, I suppose, this affair. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And I'll use my T8 driver here to put this back in here and just tighten it down. It looks like it goes to a point and then it wants to stop. I'm happy to let it do so. Okay, so right now we are more or less dead center. The action remains good. It is actually a little less sticky. There is no gaps, no... Is there play? No play. You know, considering that we messed around with the de-assisting possibility, 16 minutes ain't bad. I figured this was going to be an odyssey. So, all things considered, is this my favorite design ever? No, not necessarily. I'm not a big fan of assists, and this lock is something that I'm still getting used to. Maybe I'll grow to love it after a while. But at the very, very least, all things considered and all the complexities involved, this really wasn't much of a pain in the butte to take apart. And so that I very much appreciate. Hope this has been interesting to you and that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.